it's Em, here to talk about the last 3 books I've read. Well, 2 books and a manga. I finally read a Riley Sager. I finally read a Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Do I have it the right way around this time? And I'm excited to talk about them. Oh, and then I read the most recent Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card, which, is an old favorite of mine. So we'll talk about all of those right now. So let's start with the Riley Sager. I read Home Before Dark because this is the only book by Riley Sager whose synopsis sounded interesting to me. I don't typically read thrillers. I like psychological thrillers, but I don't like thriller like serial killer thriller type stuff. Well, that was like all very alliterative. But anyway, but this one, Home Before Dark, is a story about a haunted house. And I love haunted house stories. I love ghost stories. In this book, which is older, I think. Anyway, it's like 2 or 3 years old at this point, at least. Maybe even older. I can't remember the publication date. But it's got an Amityville Hill House kind of thing going on where Maggie is the main character. And the story is told from her point of view in the present day, interspersed with chapters of a book written by her father in the past. Maggie, when she was 5, she and her family moved to this house, Bainbury Hall in Vermont, if I remember right. Big old, Gilded era mansion type thing. And the house has a history of people dying in it, suicides, that kind of thing. And they lived there 20 days and then fled in the middle of the night, and her dad wrote a best-selling book about their experiences in this house. When Maggie's father dies, she unexpectedly inherits the house. She did not realize her father still owned it. She had assumed her father had sold it because she's never been back. She's never wanted to go back. She resents her father writing this book because it's impacted her life now that she's 30. And but she goes back thinking she'll fix the house up, flip it, sell it, and then she gets sucked into the what really happened. Like, let me see if I can suss out the truth. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's a quick-paced book. And like I said, the chapters are interspersed. The Maggie chapters are interspersed with chapters from her dad's book to, show what happened in the past from his story. And, of course, Maggie isn't convinced her father was telling the truth, that he was just trying to make a quick buck, or whatever. But without spoiling anything, there's some true murder, crime stuff going on. There's some history stuff going on. There is a love interest of sorts that doesn't really go anywhere. And I respect that Sager didn't try to force this relationship aspect in the story or try to make some kind of romantic subplot. Although I kind of wonder why it's there at all. I don't know, I guess I was to have it go nowhere, even though it was realistic for the story as it was told, I also was kind of then why bother? I liked it up until the end, which felt kind of rushed and a little bit contrived, a little bit, but very typical of the thriller genre, I would say, just based on the books I have read in the genre. So I think I gave it like a 4.5 maybe stars, because again, I love a good haunted house story. I love like delving into the past, trying to figure out what really happened. That kind of thing is one of my favorite kinds of books. And it was a quick read. It was an easy read. There wasn't, it was all pretty basic, but it was a fun little gimmick with the interspersed chapters and the, seeing things from the past and current. Like, I liked it. Now, would I read more Riley Sager? If I found another book by him that had a premise that I liked, sure, but I pretty much, not that I've delved, but pretty much every other book by him that I've heard about does not sound like something I would typically read. It sounds a little bit too much of the very basic thriller trope. So, give me more haunted books and I'll be there. But, I don't really care about, is he the one who wrote about the college student, or was that Grady Hendrix? I don't know. They all these books sound alike to me. The one where like the final girls, there was like 2 or 3 final girls books at some point, and like that's not my thing. So I don't know. The Grady Hendrix, I think it's Grady Hendrix. The one I want to read by him would be My Best Friend's Exorcist. It's on my wish list, but I haven't gotten around to that one yet. But maybe in the spirit of going out and trying these authors for the first time, I might pick that one up at some point. Anyway, yeah, this one was good. And like, it was entertaining enough to get me kind of out of a reading slump, honestly. I had been kind of struggling to find things to read. So this one I grabbed at the library when I saw it. I went through it really pretty quickly and was satisfied, and entertained. And that's all I was really asking for from this book. So it delivered. Next, I read Cardcaptor Sakura, clear card number 12, and just real quick, I'll talk about it. If you're familiar with the series, you know that in this second series of Cardcaptor Sakura, Sakura is dealing with a new set of cards. She's creating new cards. It kind of doesn't really matter. We're coming towards the end of the story, I think. I'm pretty sure. Feels like we're getting close to the end of the story. It's very convoluted. It's somewhat unnecessarily complicated in a way that I don't enjoy as much as the original series. I like the new characters, but I think the way they're trying to layer the story and give hints, it's almost getting too, I don't know the word for it, erratic or something. Anyway, Sakura is in a school play and weird things are happening in the play, and Toya is able to stop time now, apparently, and I just want more Toya and Yukito, please. Give me Toya, Yuki, Yue, give me them. I don't know. At this point, I'm just kind of ready for this series to conclude. It's been cute and sweet, and the whole Sakura and Akio being twin-like, I just kind of want to, are they twins? Aren't they? I don't know. And now I'm at the point now where I'm kind of I don't care. I'm not as invested, I feel as I should be in this story. I just kind of want to see how it ends. Let's get to the end now, because this is kind of dragging on. But anyway, I still gave this volume 4 stars, because we did get a little bit more Toya and Yuki, even if it's just Toya stopping time and them watching the play and trying to help Sakura when they realize things are going sideways. I'm there for that. I'll take what I can get. But yeah, I don't know. I love Clamp. Sakura was my gateway manga, so I love Sakura. I'll always love Sakura. Well, I'll always love Toya and Yuki, who are like my OTP. But yeah. I don't know. I feel like this feels like something that was not, if it was plotted ahead of time, the way they're leaving the breadcrumbs is a little bit weird. And it might be a translation issue, because I read the original Cardcaptor Sakura in Japanese, like I translated it like painstakingly. So maybe it's a translation issue because I'm reading these in English, but I feel like it's a little bit all over the place and not as cohesive as I would like it to be. I feel like it could have been streamlined and a little more cohesive, and that would have been more enjoyable. That's just me. There's like all this stuff about mint chocolate, whether you like mint chocolate or not. Like apparently that's a big deal. I don't know. I do like mint chocolate though, for the record. I also just need to show you my murder goose. Murder. He's got a knife. Look out. Geese are mean. Room tilt? I feel like I'm at a weird angle. Anyway. Finally, I read The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. And this is a Belle Epoque kind of historical fiction with a slight fantasy element. It's very much in my wheelhouse. If you've read Fae Burned by me, you know I love a historical fiction with a touch of fantasy. I like a touch of fantasy in pretty much anything. As I've said in other videos, I don't read epic fantasy really, but I do love a little bit of magic in my like stories, whether they're historical fiction or modern day. I like that little touch. So, you know, like the ghost thing too, where it's kind of like it can be real, but like there's an element of the supernatural or the paranormal, and I like that kind of thing. So in this story, The Beautiful Ones, we're set up with, I originally thought this was going to be Regency or Georgian, but then they mentioned photographs and motor cars, automobiles, being a brand new kind of thing, so I'm guessing it's more Victorian Edwardian-esque. It's set in not our world, but something very like it, or some version of Earth with these countries that like the country they're in, which I can't remember the name of, but like all of the names of the towns are vaguely French. And the names of characters, Valérie Beaulieu, French, right? Like, so I guess they're in some version of France. And the main character, one of the main characters, Hector, he traveled for a long time in a country called like Iblevad, which sounds Russian, Eastern European of some kind. I don't know. But anyway, Hector is a magician, like in the literal sense. He has telekinesis, and so he is a performer. He can go up on stage and manipulate objects with his mind and a few hand motions. This is a known thing that happens in this world. Some people have these abilities. It's considered low to exhibit them, but Hector grew up in kind of a performing family and like didn't have, money. When his parents died, he continued to perform, on the streets and in cafes to earn money to live and eat and survive. He fell in love when he was young with Valérie, and she fell in love with him, but he went away to make his fortune as a performer, promising her he would return, and, they were like, yes. She said she would wait for him, and then promptly married a rich guy under pressure from her family. The rich guy is kind but dull, I guess. Is his big vice is just being boring? I don't know. Valérie doesn't care for him very much, but she does very much relish her status in society because he is wealthy and has a good name. And she and her husband are introducing the husband's niece, Nina, into society. And this happens just as Hector's returning and discovers that Valerie has, he knew she had married because she had sent him a letter saying, I'm not waiting for you anymore, I married somebody else. He has come back to find her anyway. This is like 10 years after the fact. And then he meets Nina. You can see the triangle forming here. It's, again, well written. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the setting. I liked the touches of fantasy. It turns out Nina also has this telekinetic ability, but she can't control it, and it's causing her a certain amount of grief in society. So Hector is teaching her to control her abilities a little bit. And the love story progresses upon a pretty predictable path, as is, again, common for the genre, just as the Riley Sager, is common for its genre. This is pretty typical of a historical, like, romance fiction. Valerie goes from being subtly evil to, like, almost campy villainous, though, towards the end. That was where I kind of was like it was a little over the top with her villainy. And you could almost be sympathetic, but then she made the choices to be, evil, basically, and I think that's where I was kind of like, oh, I wish it had kind of remained a little bit more subtle. The older woman hates younger woman for getting what she couldn't have, or, but again, not uncommon for the genre. So if I like it in other books, I can't really ding it here. It is a well-written book. It was another one that I went through really quickly because it was just very readable and fun to read, and I liked the characters for the most part. I really liked Nina, although at times, aside from her developing her abilities, I wouldn't say her character really changed. Hector's did for the better. Valerie's did for the worse, I guess. What she and Hector had was clearly very toxic. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. And I think I also gave it like 4.5 stars. Because it continued my reading, after reading Home Before Dark and getting out of my slump, I was on the reading train, and The Beautiful Ones kept me on the train. It wasn't like a sudden stop or anything. So I ended up really enjoying both those books. And the Cardcaptor Sakura is what it is. I sit down and read that in an hour. It's easy when I grab a manga. So I am now finishing The Tower of Nero, finally, so I can finish The Trials of Apollo and then get on to The Sun and the Star, which, because Nico, D'Angelo, and Sadie Kane are probably my favorite Rick Riordan characters, the two of them. And I love Nico and Will as a couple, so I'm looking forward to trying that one out as soon as I finish The Trials of Apollo, since Nico is a pretty major character in The Tower of Nero. I figured I should finish it before I started that. So that is where I'm at with my reading. And yeah, let me know what you're reading or what you thought of these books that I just discussed. If you've read them, should I pick up another Silvia Moreno-Garcia? I looked at some of the other books on the library shelf by her, but it was kind of like with the Riley Sager. This was the one that appealed to me, and I wasn't really sure if any of the others would, because I'm just so picky. And what I can like respect about Moreno-Garcia's work is that she does a lot of different things, which is what I do too. I mean, if you look at my books, they're all kind of all over the place. So I can respect an author who's just like, no, I'm just going to kind of write this thing now or that thing now, you know, this is what I'm feeling today, or, you know, so, but the downside, probably not for her because she's got, I think, a pretty steady readership, but the downside is people who like one or two things might not like any of the others because they're very different and they're not their thing. And that's, as a writer, that's something I knew going in, but I can't make myself just write the thing I know people want. I just gotta write the thing I want. And that's just how it is. So I would possibly pick up another book by her, but at the same time, I don't know if there's anything else by her that's something I would enjoy. So, I don't know. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Somebody walking by in the hall. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think there is another book by either Riley Sager or Silvia Moreno-Garcia. And I swear, if I've got it the wrong way around this time, I feel so bad because I'm doing it wrong throughout this video. My apologies again. But if you think there's another book by either of those that I would like to read, recommend them to me, or something similar to either of those books by some other author that you think would be my thing, let me know that. And I will see you next time. Take care.